Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be talking on directed numbers. Directed numbers are usually the position or the direction of numbers. Numbers could exist in the negative direction or in the positive direction. Now, bear you in mind that when you do not see any sign, the negative direction is usually represented with the negative direction is usually represented by the subtraction sign, which we know as the minus. And the positive direction is usually represented with the plus sign. Now, the positive numbers don't usually have that plus sign in front of them because it is assumed that with or without the plus sign, those numbers are positive. You don't need to always add plus to your numbers to identify them as positive numbers. Without seeing the minus sign on those numbers, it simply means that those numbers are positive numbers. Now, when you have an addition of the minus sign in front of a number, it means that number is a negative number and it tends to be in the negative direction. So the negative direction is usually on the left side, while the positive direction is usually in the right side. So now the right side usually assume that someone is going forward. Now, the negative direction being on the left side means you're going backward. So anytime you see numbers, just use this direction to identify that for a number that is going forward, it means it is a positive sign. So now let me illustrate something about these numbers and their signs. Now, looking at what we have on the board, we can see that the negative direction, like I said, is going towards the left hand side, and then the positive direction is going towards the right hand side. Now, the negative direction and positive direction usually have a meeting point, which happens to be the 0 point. So when you have numbers that fall in the negative direction and you have numbers that fall in the positive direction, that means those two numbers or those numbers would have a meeting point, which is a 0 point. So for a number to cross over to the negative direction, that number must cross over from the positive direction through 0 to the negative direction. Likewise, in the other direction, which happens to be the negative direction towards the positive direction. Now, we have different numbers in the number line. Now, we have a minimum of -5 and a maximum of 5. Now, it is very important you understand that the numbers in the negative direction are usually lower than the numbers in the positive direction. Even if the number happens to be -5 and the number in the positive direction is 1, the number in the positive direction being 1 will be greater than the number in the negative direction, regardless of the size. Even if the size is 10, 100, 1 billion, especially with a sign of a minus in the front, that number is less than 1. I repeat myself. Now, regardless of the size of the number in the negative direction, it is usually lower or lesser than the number in the positive direction. Be it 1 million. -1 million is less than 1 in the positive direction. Now we have an exercise. The first exercise we'll be taking says add the following directed numbers using the number line. Now the question we have is +3, +2, and +4. We are going to represent this addition on the number line. So when you draw the number line, which we are going to be using the highest number on the chart. So we have the highest number being +4. All the numbers are in positive direction, so we don't have to represent 0, minus in our number line because we don't have any number referring us to the negative direction. So we're going to focus on just the positive direction. So like I said, when you see numbers that do not have a sign on them, it is known to be positive. positive numbers, because positive numbers are not necessarily represented by plus sign in front of them. It is assumed that so long as they don't have a negative sign on the numbers, it means those numbers are positive numbers. Now, we are going to count from the lowest number forward. We are going to say 2. So this is 2. We are going to add 2 to 3. So we are going to be counting 1, 2, and 3. We are going to meet, we are counting 3 because we are counting from the lowest number forward. Remember that positive numbers go towards the right. So we are counting towards the right. If it was negative numbers, we are going to be counting towards the left. Now, we are adding, we'll pick from the lowest number, which happens to be 2. We now say, we pick from the lowest number, we will now count towards the direction of the positive line, and then we add 3 points. So we have counted 1 point, 2 points, and 3 points. So we have represented 3. Now, for us to count 4, we'll continue to count 4. We'll now say this is 1. Remember that from here to here means plus 3. Yes, this is plus 2, this is plus 3. Now, to represent 4, we're going to be saying 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we count from here to here. This is plus 4. So that means this, using the number line to represent the sum of these numbers, it means the arrow goes like this. Do you understand? So this is what it typically means. So the answer means you have to understand that you count from the lowest number in the figures. Now, the lowest number was plus 2, and we said plus 2. We counted from plus 2. Now, we are not to count 1, 2 points because we have already identified 2 in each position. So what we'll be doing was we added 3 points. Now, that 3 points means 1, 2, and 3. So that is why from here to here represented plus 3. Now, for us to represent plus 4, it means that from here we count another 1, we count 2, we count 3, and we count 4. So from here to here represented plus 4. Now, you will see that when you add this, the normal way you add your additions, you will see that the answer is 9. So that means this chart or this number line is correct. So in case you have it in your objective, you will know that this is the correct representation of these numbers. So let's go to the next question. So now the second question we're going to be handling says plus 5 minus 9. Now, in this example, we would be representing plus 5 and minus 9. Adding, in this example, we will be adding plus 5 and minus 9 in the number line. Now, let's see what it means. Now, because I said that any number that falls in the positive direction is greater than the number in the negative direction, regardless of its size, whether it's 100, whether it's 200, whether it is a billion, so long as that number has the negative sign on it or is in the negative direction, that number is less than any number, be it 1, in the positive direction. Now, plus 5, in terms of numbers, if you close the signs in front of them, you could say that 9 is greater. But now, looking at the sign in front of 9, it means that 9 minus 9 is less than plus 5. Now, because the lowest number we have, the highest number we have is 5. So we would represent 5 before adding other numbers down to meet with minus 9. Now, this is what it looks like. Now, look at the number we have presented in the number line. We have plus 5 down to minus 9. So we can say we have minus 9 down to plus 5. You understand? So we have plus 5 represented in the number line, and we have minus 9 represented. So you do not have to worry in representing the lowest number when it comes to number line. You must be concerned that the highest number is shown on the number line before any other number in the number line. Now, so from here we have that plus 5 being the highest number in the question and minus 9 being the lowest number in the question. So how are we going to represent the addition of plus 5 and minus 9 in the number line? So what we are going to be doing, remember that when you are going forward in the right position, that means you are adding up positive numbers. That means if you're going forward like this, it means you're dealing with only positive numbers. Now, if you're going backward in this direction, you're dealing with addition of positive number or negative number to another negative number. So it has to be positive number being added to a negative number. You go backward because the negative is taking you backward. So in any addition that is represented in the number line, so long as there is a negative in that sum, it takes you back to the negative direction. So minus 9 is going to take us back on the number line. So how we're going to take it back is that we're going to be counting 9 points from plus 5 backwards. So what it means is that we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is where our points reach. So the number line, this sum, this is plus 5 plus minus 9. Remember they said add the following directed numbers. So this is the add. So we are adding plus 5 to minus 9. So this is the representation of the sum of plus 5 to plus minus 9. And the answer in the ideal calculation is minus 4. So if you were to represent it just in numbers, it means that plus 5 plus minus 9 is equal to minus 4. But this is the representation of this calculation in the number line. Wow, we now have a complex question. It might not be complex if you have been following. So, but I think for some people it might be complex. Now look at this question. This is minus 5, minus 6, and plus 17. So we are meant to add the numbers using the number line. We are supposed to represent the sum of minus 5, minus 6, and plus 17 on the number line. So how do we go about it? Remember that I said you have to identify the highest number and the lowest number. Now, the highest number in this question is plus 17, and the lowest number in this question is minus 6. Yes, minus 6 is less than minus 5. You can decide to draw them on the chart. Remember I said towards the positive direction, every number in front of the other number is the highest number. Do you understand? So when you draw it on your own, you could look at it and see why minus 6 is less than minus 5. Now, going back to the question, we will take a look at this. Now, we are going to be representing 17 on our number line. Now, look at what we have on the chart. We have minus 6 represented, and we have plus 17 represented on the number line. So now, we will first of all count the immediate highest number. The immediate highest number is minus 5. Now, we are counting minus 5 in this direction. So that means we're going to count 5 points backwards. Remember, this is the negative direction. This is the negative direction. and this is the positive direction. So because we are counting 5 points, we are counting it in the direction of the sign in front of it. Now the sign in front of -5, which happens to be the second highest number, we are counting it in its direction, which is a negative direction. So we are going to count from 17, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is representing -5. Now, from where we stopped from -5, we will proceed to count -6, which is the last or the least number in the exam, in the exercise. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have gotten to 6. So this represents -6. Now this will actually tell you or explain to you. This will actually explain to you why I said that we don't need to represent the least number. It's not necessary. But for explanation's sake, we represented the least number so that you wouldn't feel like we threw the least numbers. In fact, I had to turn this board so we could see the full representation of this exercise. Now, this is what it says. This is, we've counted 5 points from 17 in the negative direction. We've counted -6 from where -5 ended. Remember, we're adding the sum to the point where in the negative direction to the point where it stopped. So it stopped at the 6th point. So that means from here to here, look at the direction of the arrow. It is very important in OBJ questions or objective questions. The arrow can be confusing. The arrow can move you to the positive direction, which makes the answer wrong. The arrow direction is very important in identifying the correct answer. So in this particular answer, the arrow is from this point down to this point because we are adding it. It is not just -5. It is not just -6. It is a complete sum. Do you understand? So we have identified these points. So that what it means is that from 17 down to where the -6 ended. So which means -6 plus -5 plus 17 is 6. So this is a number line representation of this calculation. So we'll take one more example and we'll round up. Now we have here plus 20 plus 15. We're going to be adding these two numbers using the number line. Now look at what we have here. Remember I said you must identify the least number in the number line and identify the highest number in the number line. Now we have the least number identified here, and we have the highest number identified here, which is 20, and the least number, which is 15. So we have to extend it upward because in addition of positive numbers, the number would increase because they are moving towards the positive direction. So in addition of the addition of positive numbers, we have to increase the number range in the number represented in the number line because the number would increase towards the positive direction. So from the 15, we're going to count 20 points. Wow! So that is why we have to add more numbers to the number line so that we could be able to represent 20 points. Now we're going to count these numbers towards the positive direction because remember that the sign here is positive. Now what we're going to count, follow me as we count. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Wow! So we have identified 20 points from 15 to be testified. So that means this is what this represents. So plus 20 plus 15 will represent 35. And that is why the arrow got the point of 35. So thank you for watching us, and then stay tuned as we unveil